All right. Welcome back to the Travi Wavi with your affable host, Travis Eason. We're coming to you live again today, episode number 20 from the Neon Parrot Live Studios next door to Majestic Coffee Shop in beautiful, historic downtown Abilene, Texas, the storybook capital of America. And I have a special guest today, Emily McMillan. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Glad that you're here.
My pleasure.
So you fit right into our category of local artists, entrepreneurs, people that are characters in the storybook capital of Texas.
I love it.
And you are not from Texas
I'm
originally.
not, but I got here as fast as I could.
That's what we like to hear.
That's right.
Tell me, do you have any siblings?
Oh, actually, yes. I have one sister who lives in Houston, and I actually have lots of steps and halves, but they're all over, so.
They're all over.
Yeah.
And you guys stay close? Do you stay connected?
Not as much as we should.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
It's
okay.
hard. It's busy. Life
It
is busy.
It is busy.
Yeah.
So when did you show up in Abilene and what brought you here?
So I grew up in Arkansas, Central Arkansas, and I went to college at Hendrix College, and that's really close to the Little Rock Air Force Base. And so senior year of college, I was dating an Air Force guy who was coming here, and that's when my family was moving to the East Coast, actually. So it was like stay in Arkansas alone, come to Abilene, Texas. Where? What? Or go with my parents and live at home for a while after college, and that didn't sound like fun. So I came here, and life has a way of working out the way it's meant to. That relationship didn't work out, but I met my husband, who's from here, and so we've been here ever since 2006.
2006?
So, yeah.
And when you were at college, what were you studying?
Theater.
Right on.
Yeah,
We love that on this
yes,
channel.
yes.
And you mentioned it was costume design?
Yeah, costumes. I did a little bit of directing, stage managing. I have some serious unmedicated ADHD. I didn't know that in college, right? Didn't find out till I was 36, as is common for women. But so I was always terrified to be on stage. Even though I am a character, I like to be bold and fun, but I knew I could never remember lines. I would get on the stage, the lights, the people, and I would just blank.
And blank it out.
And that would be terrible.
That would be terrible.
Yeah. So
Well, you're on stage today
that's
live.
okay. It's not so
with the mic
stressful
in
now.
your face.
I'm a lot more confident at 41 than I was at 20.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you moved to Abilene in 2006, you said?
2006.
And you guys have built a little family.
We have 2 sweet kiddos. My son is 9. His name is Foster. And my daughter is 12 and a half, going on 25.
Right on.
Her name is Tenley. She is awesome.
Nice.
She is fierce.
I love it.
Raising a fire-breathing dragon.
I love it.
And that's the
Yeah,
goal.
we need more of those too.
Yes, we do.
So you guys have been in Abilene for a while, and you were a stay-at-home mom for a period of time.
Yeah, I've been a stay-at-home mom for 12 years, and now I'm venturing into my first foray into entrepreneurialism.
So what was the onus for that? What made you decide to start a business?
So I just mentioned my daughter who's sassy. So there was a time where she said, "Mom, can we go to the mall?" And I said, "The mall? I don't want to go to the mall." And she's like, "But you're just sitting on the couch." Excuse me. But honestly, I thought about that. I thought about that a lot. And I wasn't just sitting on the couch. As we all know, moms don't just sit on the couch.
Sure.
I was actually working and doing other things. But in her eyes, I was sitting on the couch. And I really, not for her, but for me, I wanted to be the type of woman, inspiring role model who's doing something that's not just sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And so
you were just internally motivated by that a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, let's dream bigger. Dream bigger. That's really part of a lot of it,
And you started Abilene Yarn Co.
Abilene Yarn Co. Yeah.
And that's located over in the Cloisters.
In the Cloisters on South 7th and Leggett.
Okay.
We're behind Mesme's and the Record Guys. We're tucked back. So nobody knows we're back there. So that's why I'm really grateful to you to be on this podcast, help get the word out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because a yarn store is a destination location. It's mainly word of mouth, but those yarn loving people, they talk, and word gets around, and we've done really well since we opened in September.
Good.
Yeah, I'm really happy, really grateful.
And you have a bunch of employees already.
We do. Let's see. Wow. I was able to start out in a really safe and comfortable way, very low risk, and I'm super grateful for that too, by going into an existing store. It's called Makers and Creators Marketplace, run by Jen Harmel. It's her baby. She's created it and loved it and crafted it for over 3 years, about 3 years now. And it's a place for local artists, handmade items, vendors of different kinds, vintage clothing, vintage glassware, lots of interesting and unique kind of thrift story, but also just handmade kind of things. And her business model was such that the whole store was full of various vendors.
Okay.
And it was a really neat location. And so the last few years, I've been just making crocheted items
Okay.
and selling them either custom order or like vendor markets. And so I had a shelf there, just one little shelf, like the size of this red table here, that I paid for my crochet items to be sold at the store when I wasn't there, right?
Okay.
And so there were employees at the shop already running the shop because Jen also has 3 kids and teaches full-time at Cooper. She does graphic design. And so she's a busy girl. I don't know how she does everything she does so well. She manages a lot. But so, yeah, so I was able to kind of come in and just have 200 square feet in the kind of back corner of the store. And then, like, on our opening day, I think we sold like $6,000 of yarn in our 200 square feet.
Yeah.
And immediately Jen and I looked at each other like, we're going to need some more space. You know? And so, but it was so exciting. It was so thrilling. So now I actually have about 1,000 square feet.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And that's just been a few months.
A
September
couple of
was
months,
not that
yeah,
long ago.
September 28th. So yeah, just a few months. It's
That's
really
great.
going well.
And you're anticipating just continuing to stick with it and grow it and see where it goes.
Yes. We have freed up some of the rooms in the back of the studio. It's probably about 2,700 square feet total. And there's still a couple different businesses operating. And my long-term dream would be to use one of those rooms as a yarn dyeing studio.
Okay.
So we could have our own line of Abilene Yarn Co. yarns that we custom dye. Then we could have workshops and classes, girls' nights, I don't know, date night, whatever, where you come in and you get to design and dye your own yarn colors, whatever size of yarn you want, for whatever project you want.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool and a fun way to scale up and add another level of something fun.
Yeah, that's cool. And then you have a couple other professional artists kind of coming in. You mentioned the rug tufting.
Yeah. So one of my hearts, just being here in general for Abilene is connecting with other artistic people and other interesting people around town. And so I'm always up for like some sort of collaboration with another local business. So Chelsea Carnes, who owns Doug's Upholstery downtown on over there by Hickory Street. She came in this weekend and we did a rug tufting workshop and it was so cool. She built these wooden frames, like I want to say like 30 by 30 wooden frames. And then they have like carpet tacks on them, so you can stretch, almost like a embroidery hoop with the fabric stretched really taut. Okay, and then you have these really cool yarn guns, for lack of a better word. You hold them like this, and then you go. It's electric, and it just goes down the frame, and it punches the yarn through. I don't know how to explain. It was really cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it was a really fun experience.
I've watched some of that on social media and always thought, oh, that looks like fun.
That looks like fun. Yeah. It was a little intimidating at first, because it's like a power tool, and that's not normally what we're about. But that was so fun just to bring in something new and test the boundaries. Those things that make you nervous, the things that you're afraid of, like lean into that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah,
do the scary thing.
Do the scary thing.
And then Audrey Noblique.
Yeah, Audra is one of my knitting teachers.
She teaches interesting stuff too, like textile.
She does all
projects.
kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, she's a really cool person. She teaches our Thursday night knitting class. So tonight at 6, if anybody wants to join, there's still room. And that's a cool class because it's open to beginners, but it's also multi-level. Because we're doing a year-long mystery blanket knit-along. And so Audra surprises us each week, or class month, usually each week, with a new pattern. And you can join it at any time. So like some of us started in January, and brand new knitters, never knit before, anything. And so we started in January with the basic skills, and then now we're making these squares for this blanket. And then some people, might have a busy March, so they might take this month off and circle back in the summer. But other people will join in this month. And so we're all working at our own pace. It's self-led. There's no pressure. It's just fun and interesting. And Audra is such a great teacher.
That's great. So how many people generally show up for one of these classes?
Gosh, it kind of varies. 10 is my max.
Okay.
I'll teach a class with 2 or 3. Sometimes we have 6 or 7. So the smaller classes are nice, though, because they're more intimate, more one-on-one. You get to visit more, have more personalized help. So it kind of just depends on the month.
And we were talking before the program today about and this is news to me, but in the yarn community, there's sort of a division between knitters and
Yeah.
crocheters. There's some bad blood there.
I'm working on correcting that.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah. So, well, okay. I tried to learn to knit first back in like 2005, like when I was still in college, with straight needles and with the yarn in my right hand because I'm right-handed, and it never worked. I don't know. My brain. Some people think they have like a crochet brain or a knit brain. Some people can do both, but for me, it just never really clicked. I could do it, but poorly. But I could never remember how to get started. I could never remember how to finish it off. Like there's a whole process you go through, casting on and binding off, and so I kind of put it aside. And then I taught myself to crochet. I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that, from YouTube, basically. And so I've been crocheting for a long time, and that's my love. I'm hot natured, so I like to make stuffed animals. I like to make, and again, ADHD, so I can finish a stuffy in, a day, whereas like knitting a sweater might take weeks. Okay. And like I said, I'm hot, so I don't like to do a lot of wearables. I'm wearing a wearable today, but in general, I don't do a lot of things I can wear. I do stuffed animals and stuff. I really want to make him. But now that I'm learning to knit, thanks to Audra, I have a whole new appreciation for the skill and the process. And it's a timeless, I need to research the history of knitting. It's got to be really interesting, honestly.
It's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, like when you think about the complexity of every project, it really is kind of mind-boggling. But anyway, to your point, knitters, it seems to me that personally I've experienced other yarn stores. You walk in and say, well, I crochet, and they're like, oh, well, and it's kind of patronizing a little bit. And I'm just really committed to making sure that that's not how it feels when you walk into Abilene Yarn Co. That's my thing. Because I'm a crocheter and now also knitting, I want everyone to feel welcome in my shop. Whether you've never knit or crochet anything, whether you don't do anything crafty, you're still welcome there. We're still going to greet you, and we're still going to make friends, We can teach you if you want to learn, but that's okay if you don't. Like,
I've always kind of had a soft spot in my heart for knitters, just in general.
Yeah.
Growing up, we had some really good friends that we carpooled with, and to school and to dance, and the Harrises. And Dr. Harris, Mrs. Harris, she was a huge knitter, and I think she even made some of her own yarn. She had one of those
a spinning
wheel thing, and I don't think I ever saw that in action, but just the heaps and piles of yarn and the, do you call them needles? The needles and all the different things everywhere. And I think my mom tried to knit a little bit growing up, but that wasn't her gig. Hers was needlepoint.
Needlepoint,
But I just think I've always been kind of fascinated, and like to walk into a yarn store and just to see all the textures and the colors and the.
It's magical.
It's really pretty cool.
Yeah, and we didn't have we used to have Yarnies, owned by Linda Nygaard, that was over on South 7th, just down the ways from us a little bit. They've been closed since like 2018, I think. But since then, we haven't had any yarn stores other than big box corporation type stores, right? Within a 200-mile radius.
Wow.
Nothing. We call it a yarn desert.
Wow.
So we really needed a special place, and it's really cool. You walk in, and we have this beautiful space with all these giant windows, tons of natural light. It's just gorgeous. And like you said, the textures and the colors. We have a big wall with a rainbow of yarn, like straight in your face when you walk in, and it's just it's a happy. You walk in, you cannot not be happy in that store.
What got you started in crochet?
Gosh, I have always wanted to make things, create things. I've collected craft supplies of all kinds my whole life. I have yarn from 20 years ago, that I still have. I don't know. I think so. Okay, so like you said, with knitting, there's the needles, right? You have two, and they're pointy. You have a bunch of loops on one needle at a time with knitting, and all those loops are live. If any of them fall off, the whole project can fall apart. With crocheting specifically, I cannot for the life of me remember when I started crocheting, but it was right before I had kids, and I don't know if I was just having a genius moment or what, but I think, I like to say now that I picked crochet before I had kiddos and before I became a stay-at-home mom, because you only have one tool with crocheting instead of two. It's a hook instead of a needle. It's curved, so it's not as sharp right at the top. And with crochet, there's only one loop at a time that's live. So you can take your hook out and there's just the one loop and you can set it down. If you got to go chase a toddler across the house, it's a lot easier to set down real quick and just run. Whereas with knitting, it's better to finish your whole row before you set it down because it can be confusing when you try to pick it back up and start again.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so I don't know if that was like a whole thought process before I had kiddos, but it is a lot easier to crochet, I think, with little ones. If you make a mistake, it's a lot easier to pull it out. Whereas if you make a mistake with knitting, you actually have to knit backwards, and you have to unknit, I don't know how to explain it, knit backwards each stitch to go back and correct.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
It seems a little overwhelming to me. Like just hearing that, I'm like, I don't know that I want to knit.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It is, but it's so satisfying. And like I said earlier, like leaning into those things that intimidate you or those things that scare you, you know, if it makes you uncomfortable, like do that.
Yeah.
Like that's part of why I am working on the knitting. Partly because if you own a yarn store, I guess you should know how to knit, they say. I don't know. And just because I want to be able to talk to people who love knitting and relate to them on a personal level and show them my projects. That's another thing. Like when people that are knitters come in and they know that I'm not a knitter, but I'm like, look, I'm knitting. I made this little square, you know, and they're so happy for me. And it's just, I don't know, it's uplifting.
Well, it's fun to watch on social media, just the various knitting projects that pop up on my feed from time to time, like the little old lady that knit a fence for her yard. Did you see?
Yes,
have you seen that one?
Did, with the giant needles. Yeah, that was cool.
So, I mean, you can just make anything with yarn, I guess.
The sky's the limit.
So when you talk about, like, in the future, maybe being able to dye your own yarn, is there any thought to, like, producing the fiber itself?
Yeah. So, okay, I love llamas and alpacas. Alpaca tend to be more useful for making the wool, turning into yarn. And on our grand opening in September, we had 5-star alpacas that are here locally in Potosi. They brought 2 of their alpaca out to be on our patio just for fun. Yeah. Turns out they're not as like friendly as you might think. I thought of them as like cats, you know, like if you try to pet a cat, they might be like, no, thank you, don't touch me. You know, whereas dogs are like, oh, yeah. But no, so they're more like cats. They're like, no, thank you, don't. Yeah. But that story was to say, so I think it'd be really neat to partner with some local farms, sheep, alpaca, even like Angora rabbits. There are people who do the spinning with like dog hair.
Really?
That might be a little too far for me, but I have a very fluffy dog, so.
So you can make. Tell me about the fibers that can go. Like what can you make a yarn out of? What are the various anything?
Anything. Yeah. So at my shop, I have like bamboo cotton. We have obviously wool, acrylic, which is plastic. A lot of people don't realize that acrylic yarn is made out of plastic. There is, gosh, what do we have? I've seen yarn made out of pineapple pulp, not pulp, but something with pineapple.
Interesting.
Aloe can be used and turned into
so anything
yarn.
that has any plant material that can be fibrous or broken into a fibrous capacity. Flax.
Linen, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hemp. All that kind of cool stuff can be turned into yarn. And there's a lady I follow on Instagram who has these amazing chubby bunnies, Angora rabbits. And they just sit in her lap and she just like pets them. And as she's petting them, she pulls their fluff. She puts their fluff into like a giant mason jar. And then she spins it on the spinning wheel into yarn. That blows my mind right there. And then she knits the sweaters. And she lives somewhere cold where she can actually wear them because it is so fluffy. And she said that the sweater, if somebody were to buy that sweater, it would be $3,000. And that's if she paid herself 14 cents an hour for the
all
labor.
The time. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It got me thinking about I should start taking all of Schubert's hair of my dog and saving it, making a little, because it's so soft.
It's so soft, exactly. Yeah, we have a Tibetan Spaniel, and he is very fluffy and soft.
So soft.
Yes,
yeah.
you can totally do it.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
And then you just dye it. You can use, I guess, natural dyes or artificial dyes, whatever.
Different fibers dye better than others. So a lot of the alpaca wool comes in like a variety of natural colors, and breeders will, select and keep in their flock or whatever you call it, different colored alpaca, right? A black one, a brown one, a cream one, a white one, et cetera, so that you can get those a variety of colors. Because I don't know if it doesn't dye as well or if it's just a higher quality fiber, and so therefore the less messing with it, the better. I'm not really sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When you started the business, did you kind of have like an inventory in mind of like, oh, I'm going to need to have this much yarn?
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest with you, I had and still have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just going with it. Every day is a learning experience, and I'm cool with that. So when I ordered our inventory at the beginning, I had, a certain amount of money that we had set aside from our family. We didn't have to take out a loan.
Nice.
I didn't have to, use a credit card or anything like that. We had a chunk of funds, and being able to go into an existing store really allowed me to use my inventory money, my money for more inventory. Whereas if I had had a blank studio space, I would have had to have seating and tables and lighting and, so much more that I would have had to spend my money on. So again, I'm really fortunate to have gotten started the way I did, because I was able to spend probably 2/3 of the money that I had to start out with on inventory. And I ordered from a longstanding yarn company called Barocco. And that's like my main, like my workhorse yarn, as they call it, like my main line of like just a variety of colors, but it's just one type of yarn. Like if you went to, I don't know, Michael's or Joann's,
So sad,
Joann's, yes. And you just wanted, a rainbow, a regular yarn. Okay, so I have something similar to that, but it's a higher quality. And that's what I ordered from Barocco. But that was tricky because I had to order it with having never seen it or touched it or felt it before, since we don't have any yarn stores nearby, to research. So that was crazy. And then I have another couple of companies. And then my heart is to order from more local dyers, Texas dyers, indie dyers from around the country, world, whatever. So I have a new dyer, the Purling Squirrel. She's out of Weatherford.
That's a fun name.
Yeah, she's really fun. And she's made some really cool, fun, bright, vibrant colors. And so I have some of her stuff there. And then we might have her come teach a dyeing class, like a workshop someday. But there's some logistics to figure out it has to drip dry over days, So her coming in from out of town is a little tricky. And then Foxbane Fibers is out of DFW, and they've dyed some other really cool yarn for me as well. So I really would like to have more indie dyers and less bigger companies as the funds allow.
So when you say that you're the only store within 200 miles, I'm assuming like DFW has to have some.
Yeah. Fort Worth has a couple. West 7th Wool is awesome. Okay. And Juju Knits is one of my favorites. It's like in a house, and it's real fun and colorful and funky. Yeah.
Creative.
Yeah, real creative.
So then like what, like Austin?
Yeah, Austin does. I feel like there's a small one up in the Panhandle area
like maybe
now.
Amarillo?
Yes, but it's pretty small.
Okay.
So yeah.
So really there isn't anything, this is it?
Yeah, there's
that's
nothing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Are you finding that you're getting clients coming in from out of town to come see you?
Yes, actually, I'm super excited to get them hung up on the wall, but we just got some maps. I have a world map that we have like 3 different continents that people have been to our store from: Germany, Japan, Paris, and then obviously the US. And then we also have a US map. And I mean, we have pens from so many states already. It's so cool.
That is really cool.
Yes, because it's like a touristy thing too. Like when I went to Seattle, I did a lot of research before we opened, obviously. And I went to Seattle for a really amazing yarn convention. They have those, by the way. And I got a pack of yarn colors. It was called like the Seattle something. And then there's somebody who does little designs, and this specific design was a Seattle themed design pack. So it had like the Space Needle and like a whale, I don't know, different Seattle-y things, right? And so when I went on that trip, I bought that yarn and those patterns to make probably a scarf or something that will commemorate that trip. So that's like a really fun thing. Whenever you travel anywhere in the world, you can go to yarn stores and buy yarn that was dyed there or themed that way, or support an artist from that place. And then that's your memento from your travel.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I had a clue that the yarn groupies, use that word, were this nerdy. But I'm really thrilled to find out that this is like a real thing.
Oh, it's a thing.
It's very cool.
Thing.
So we were talking before the show that my mom has, well, she recently sold it this summer, but a needlepoint store in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And she would talk about that store as being a destination store.
Yeah.
And I think honestly it just clicked for me. She's talking about needlepoint.
Yeah.
And I always thought, oh, she's the destination. But no, it's because people, oh, where's the needlepoint store? Where's
Yeah.
the yarn store?
Yeah.
Where's the bookstore?
Yes.
I want to go to these
Those are the
places
places I wanna go.
and buy the thing from that
Yeah.
town or
Yeah.
support those
Support the
people.
local business there.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a great little thing to take home.
that's very cool.
Yeah. So I think it'd be really neat if we were dyeing our own yarn. Then
Mhm.
when people come in to visit, not only do they buy yarn from Abilene Yarn Co., but they could buy yarn dyed or even sourced here, you know, to take home with them to make their project there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. So I look forward to seeing Abilene Yarn Co., alpaca, or whatever.
Oh, it's coming. You just
Hemp.
wait. Yes.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be so fun?
Cool.
I think that'd be awesome.
So, besides staying at home before you became an entrepreneur,
Yes.
what else did you do? You did some other things in the
Oh, I
community.
just sat on the couch. Don't you know? Gosh, what did I do? I don't know.
Did I see that you had a stint at the Paramount?
Oh yeah, so I worked at the Paramount when I first moved here.
'Kay.
That because my degree is in theater, right? But so senior year of college, I realized that like none of my professors either weren't married, didn't have kids, et cetera, because theater is nights and weekends and holidays and your whole heart and soul, you know?
Yep.
And I hadn't really processed through that. But so then I was really fortunate when I got here. I got hired at the Paramount as the business manager. So I got to work like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. But I got to be around all the theater people and be a part of it without having to work those hours too, which is really great. And I did that until actually that's how I met my husband, Luke. He was one of the band directors at Wiley High School, and he did their jazz band. That was like his big passion. And every year he brought the jazz band to the Paramount for their spring concert. And so we remember meeting each other in 2007, I guess, but we were still otherwise involved. But then in 2008, when we met again, we were both available. And so so May 12th, 2008. Anyway, yeah, so the Paramount's a really special place in my heart because not only is it just an amazing place in town, but I love that it's part of my family's beginning.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a good story.
Yeah.
And so does your husband is he still band directing?
So I left the Paramount and went to teaching so we could have a similar schedule until our first kiddo was born in 2012, and that's when I got to stay home. And he kept teaching and also writing marching band music on the side. Even before we met, he was like writing small school marching band music. He's a composer.
He's a composer.
That's what I would say. He would say he owns a music production company. You should have him on. He'd love to come and visit with you. Anyway, so he was doing both until our second kiddo was born in 2016. And then I was like, hey, you have 2 more than full-time jobs. I'm outnumbered now. Could we just like choose one job? Like either one is fine. Like you're a teacher. I married you as that's whatever. That's cool. Or if you want to like just venture out on your own. And again, we went with that lean into what scares you thing. And so, so he's been solely writing music full-time
awesome.
since 2016. He has 2 full-time employees that get paid damn good money, if you ask me. He works harder than anybody I know. But as a creative, he also has a really good business mind. He returns phone calls. Crazy concept. You know, he, I don't know, he just manages so many things and also the creative side of things, which is a really special juxtaposition of skill sets because a lot of us creatives only have one of those.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So yeah, I'm really proud of him.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and he takes really good care of us.
That's good. Good for him.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm not bringing in a paycheck, obviously, doing the yarn store. If I had enough money to pay people, I want to pay my employees and make sure that they get a living wage, and I pay them every dollar they're worth and then some if I could. I don't need to pay myself, and I'm really fortunate and thankful for that. But, you know, as a business, it does have to be profitable, like 3 out of 5 years in a rolling something or another. So, yeah, anyway.
That's good.
It's cool, yeah.
So you mentioned some things you're excited about with the business. Do you have any other sort of creative goals, or is this kind of the main focus right now?
Okay, so yeah. Right now it kind of feels a little bit like a dorm room business. I don't know, like a hodgepodge together, where it's like you go into 7 and 1, You know, that's when I grow up, I want to be 7 and 1. You know what I mean? Like right now, I feel like we're like in our dorm room baby phase. But again, we didn't take out any loans. We didn't have any professional like design help or anything. So my goal is to scale it up just a little bit as time goes on, as business, finances allow. I want it to feel cozy and like you went to 7 and 1 and it feels like your living room.
Yeah.
It feels cozy and welcoming, but also like aesthetically pleasing and like intentional.
Intentional.
I think
Yep.
that's really my dream for our space. I'd love to see like hardwood floors and like some ceiling fans. We have this amazing patio on the backside that faces the creek, Elm Creek, and I'm so excited to see everything start blooming and greening up. I'm going to do, I have like a rainbow of hummingbird feeders, glass hummingbird feeders that I'm going to put out there just to brighten it up. I don't know. I'm just really excited to like take advantage of some spring weather and get out there. So, and just, I really want to make it more of a community aspect. Like right now, well, as we started, it was just retail. That's all I had room for. But as we've expanded and grown over the months, I've set up I have a big sewing table that I got from some old lady in Fairway Oaks. I think it was a quilting table that they must have built for her, custom built. And when she passed away, I was able to get that and had it all fixed up. So we have this really cool, interesting story table. And then I have a little living room set up with like a little fireplace and some cozy couches. And I have a little Keurig and, snack bar and stuff. So I really want to take it to the next level as far as it being a community place to come and sit and hang out. Yeah, you can buy your stuff there, but like that's beside the point. Like I want you to come and enjoy being in the beautiful space that I'm busting my butt
So
to pay
again, I
for.
got to use my mom as the one to relate to on this because it's a similar thing. There's the threads and the fibers and the needles and the stuff, and she has maybe more than once a week now, but every Saturday is Stitch and Bitch.
Yes, I love it.
And we built her a big round table out front with the natural light and everything. And I mean, every Saturday you walk by and there's 10 or 12 people just sitting, having lunch.
Sitting and bitching.
Maybe someone brings some soup that day or someone brings a loaf of bread that day, and they just break bread and eat and laugh. And
yeah, I love that.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, Mezzamine's coffee shop has some really great foods and different options. You can get coffee, you can get wine. I bet you can't bring the wine down, but you can get all kinds of good stuff. And so that's what I always tell people is like, go over to Mez, get you a snack, get you some lunch, and then bring it down, sit on the patio and enjoy, and then let's work on our projects together. Yeah, I love that.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what are you knitting right now?
Oh man. So right now, as far as knitting, I'm just working on the squares for this blanket. So each week or so we do a square, and then at the end of the year we'll have about 20 squares that will seam together, and we'll have a big blanket that it'll be like a quilt looking style, right? Squares of different colors and different textures. So that's what I'm knitting. And then crocheting, I love to start projects and then like, okay, that's fun. And then I'll put it in a bag and then just cycle back to it later on. But I'm trying to stay on top of anytime we get a new yarn in the store, I like to work up a little sample, a little swatch of some kind so that people can see what it looks like and feel it and that kind of thing. So I've got a couple of different things in progress for that. And let's see, in May, I'm going to Chicago to another big yarn conference. And so I'm trying to think ahead of what I might want to make that I could wear.
Yeah.
So we can show it off amongst people who care,
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
So you've been in Abilene now for 20 years or so.
I'm not old enough for that. Bite your tongue.
And you've watched a lot of growth take place here.
I have.
And we've kind of moved away from keep Abilene boring into something new.
Yeah.
What's your take on all that?
Well, okay, so we actually decided to leave before my daughter started kindergarten. We went to Houston for 2 years because my sister lived there and I was trying to get all the cousins together. And then we were there for 2 years and then we're like, let's go home. Like, let's get out of here. And choosing to come back to Abilene on purpose this time was a whole different ballgame for me. Before, I married someone from here whose family is from here, who's just always been here. I mean, he went to Dallas to school, to UNT, and then came back. But, and I told you before, I just accidentally came here with a guy that I didn't plan on staying here. That wasn't the goal, but I just happened to end up here, right? And I was like, But then when we went to Houston and stayed connected, and then when we chose to come back on purpose this time, I feel like that was all the difference. Because if all the cool kids leave Abilene, then, yeah, it stays boring. You know what I mean? But if the cool kids will choose to stay put and make it better, then it continues to get better and better and better. But if all the cool kids move away, then yeah, I'm a cool kid.
I like that you associate yourself in the cool kids group.
The cool kids group.
What are some things that you've seen happen in the last 10 years, 5 years that are meaningful to you that has happened in Abilene, besides being able to start something for yourself?
Well, I have a heart for downtown. Like, I would really wanted my yarn store to be downtown because I, worked at the Paramount, because I love 7-in-1 passionately. The Majestic, I mean, just everything downtown, the Grace, I mean, the CAF Festival every summer. I think that is so, so cool. I'm an avid reader. I do more audiobooks nowadays because my hands are always busy. But not last year, the year before, I read 257 audiobooks.
Wow.
Listened. But I consider that reading. Thank you. Yeah, so like I love to read, okay, and I love children's books too. I probably have just as many children's books as I do adult books in my house. And so I think like seeing the CAF, the Children's Arts and Literacy Festival, bloom and just continue to get better and better. That was one of the things I was really excited about if I had gotten the spot next to the bookstore and had gotten to be downtown, was like different ways that we could partner. The 7-in-1 and I to do cool things for the CAF. Actually, Arlene, I attribute a lot of my confidence to her. I guess a year ago, Valentine's Day, so not this past February, but a year ago, right? She invited me to do a little pop-up with my crocheted animals for her Valentine's Day table, that main table when you first walk in. She had Valentine's children's books out, and I crocheted creatures or objects that matched each book. So you could buy the book and the little stuffed animal together. And like that was like my, one of my first little real pop-ups in a business that kind of got my feet wet and made me feel real excited about that. So anyway, just seeing like small local businesses just killing it, just out there, just absolutely killing it. I think that's just so cool. Yeah. I love to see our downtown thrive. People that are taking these older buildings that could have just gone into disrepair and turn them into something really special. If I had thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to remodel a space, like I would be down here in a heartbeat, making it really cool, you know? And maybe we'll get there someday. Yeah.
You'll get there someday.
Yeah.
If that's the goal, if that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the Cloisters has been a good spot for you too.
It really has. The owners, Lee and Rick, are amazing. They take such good care of us. Anytime we have a problem, I've been really spoiled now with a first rental, commercial lease situation with great landlords. I don't know that I could ever find anybody better than them. They're just really wonderful. Every conversation I leave talking to them, I just feel happy and valued, and that's so nice. And the light is so great. Like this space is beautiful, but one thing that's really special about my space, especially for my needs, right, are the natural light in the windows. And so, I've been weighing the pros and cons of staying there and paying what it's worth versus finding a smaller space. But gosh, the light is just so wonderful.
It's hard to kick light to the curb, especially when you're an artist and a creative. Nice. You need it. Yeah, you need it.
So nice. So I feel like I'm a little bit too big for my britches right now as far as the space. But I feel very confident that 5 years from now, I'll be so glad that I toughed it out if I can just stay put and make it, get
grow
there.
Into it.
Yeah. It's
That's
really
good.
amazing. Yeah.
Do you have any other business goals for the 5-year mark?
Wow. No.
That's okay.
I want to get systems in place. And I really want to find that fine line of being a business owner, but also having enough time for my family that I feel I'm working just enough, especially not bringing in a paycheck. It's one thing, people that are busting their asses and they're away from home all the time, but they're doing their utmost to provide for their family and to put meals on the table and shoes on growing kids' feet. Like that is so admirable and honorable. And, I do not want to say anything that sounds like I don't think that's valuable, because I absolutely do. But because I'm not bringing in a paycheck, I'm also trying to balance family life as well as my passion, my purpose, my art, my community building, desire to give back. So yeah, I don't necessarily want to grow so much. I want to keep it small, and I want to keep it a good work-life balance.
I like
kids
that.
are only little once.
That's right.
You
only
know,
get one chance.
it goes so fast.
Yeah.
And it's already going fast. They're so independent and awesome already. But I do want to be there.
Yeah, it does. It does happen too fast. I
So
think.
fast.
So in the process of deciding we're going to open this business, we're going to do all these things. Do you have a specific moment when you thought, I don't know if this is going to work?
No.
It's all just been the light's been on it. You've been able to move forward. I love that.
It's gonna work.
I love that.
It will work. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, it's just like that commitment. And how's it gonna work? I don't know. Jen and I sat down 2 weeks ago. We spent 6 hours crunching numbers. And she came with a plan, was like, hey, I think maybe we should try this. And I said, I don't know if I can do that. Like, what if we did this, you know? Because as the business model has shifted and changed over just these 6 months or so, we've had to pivot and change directions a little bit. And, you know, it started out with me renting a little space from her and her business that she'd babied and tended to and grown. And then right now it's kind of the opposite. Like she's basically renting a space from me and I almost have like the whole space now. And that's been going well. But yeah, as the business model has changed, like she wasn't able to be there, so she had to have all the employees. I am able to be there a lot more. And so that's going to have to shift and maybe pivot and change a little bit as time goes on. I can afford all of them right now, but I wouldn't be able to restock my inventory as fully as I want. So I'm going to have to kind of choose between, I think, how is the money going to get spent?
Yeah.
And I can be there. She had to go teach and, you know, have another baby and do life stuff. But I'm at the point now where I can be there. So, yeah. So as each new challenge arises, we've been able to just work together to kind of find a solution for each new challenge.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's nice to have people that you can collaborate with.
Yes.
And not have to do it all by yourself all the time.
Yes, it is. And, you know, I think we may eventually choose to separate our businesses just for like tax purposes and keeping everything streamlined and simple. And like I said, like I don't necessarily want to keep scaling and growing to the point of being so busy. I want to keep it intentionally small, community minded, you know, just enough to make ends meet and keep the lights on and keep a good flow of new, interesting, exciting stuff in there. But also just keep it humble. I don't know, cozy, you know? Yeah. The goal is not money. The goal is creating a community.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to be intentional about that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Man. If you were to open your own retail store of some kind, where would you put it?
So my problem with a retail store is that what I'd want to open is never going to make any money. I'd want to open a bicycle shop.
Oh yeah. What about? Don't we have one over on
We
Industrial?
we've had some come and go.
Okay,
We do have, and I'm gonna totally blank on it. I'm sorry, guys. The one that's out there on Industrial. It's a great shop. Bike Town. Yeah, Bike Town. It's a tough business to make money in because the product is so expensive, and then you know, you have to have someone at least trained as a mechanic, and that's it's expensive too, you know.
Specific skill set. Yeah.
But I think, and of course, I'd want it downtown. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to be downtown?
Yeah.
And I just would love to see Abilene continue to grow its bicycle culture.
Yeah.
The weather's so nice here most of the time. I mean, I know it was so windy the other day, but most of the time it's really nice, and I feel like we could become a more bike friendly. We should become a more bike friendly community. But
bike lanes and stuff
I'm not a big enough biker anymore to like push that. I just want to support the idea.
Yeah, the younger people that want to do that. Yes,
yeah, I want to support the idea.
That's
and
cool.
maybe get a bike and start riding it downtown since it's just 2 miles from my house.
When we were in Houston, we got bikes for the whole family because we lived in a little area with like a little lake and sidewalks, great sidewalks, and we would bike down to the lake every night, and that was so nice. But since we've moved, we're out like in the country now, so not so much on the biking.
Doesn't make as much sense.
It doesn't. And the roads just aren't as bike friendly. You know?
No, they're not. We need to just create more of a bike friendly culture.
Yeah, that would be nice. Be good exercise too.
Yeah. Rock on. What do you have for hobbies outside of yarn?
Man, so
And books.
Yeah, yarn and books. I really love to sleep. My husband's like, oh, I hate sleeping. It's such a waste of time. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, that's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Like, I love my bed. I love getting into bed. I hate getting out of bed. You know, I love to sleep. So.
And the kids keep you busy too.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Are they involved in anything?
Yeah, so my daughter's really getting into theater, which has been really cool. And she started band this year, which is exciting since my husband's obviously, well, we were both band people. But we weren't going to force them to do band. That was kind of like a hot take, right? And here's why. My husband grew up in an ag household, cows, cattle, right? And he had to like help on the farm and with the animals and stuff. Neither of his parents were musical, but from a very young age, like 5, Luke was very musical and like wanted to do band stuff. And what if they had said, no, you can't do band, you have to do ag, you have to go do 4-H or whatever and show those pigs or whatever. Like they hadn't encouraged him to be himself, and they had said, you have to do what we love. Where would we be today?
Yeah.
You know, so with that same mindset, like I really tried to like, if she didn't want to do band, we weren't going to force her to do band since, you know, that might not have been her thing. But I was really happy that she decided to do band. Not only is she doing it, she's playing trumpet, which is what Luke plays. So it's pretty cool. And she's rocking it. They just had their first chair test, and she got first chair.
Atta girl.
It's pretty proud. And she's the only girl in the whole class.
Love it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of her.
Cool.
And I'm just hoping that my son wants to play French horn since that's what I play. He's been on percussion, though.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
We need percussionists, too.
Yes, yeah. So
that's good.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm looking forward to being a band mom and doing all that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, theater, of course. I'm super excited that she's into that. We saw that ACS is doing like a Broadway review at the Paramount this month.
Okay.
It's got like a whole bunch of different musical songs that they're going to be doing. My friend Jana Beck is the director there, so we're excited to go check that out and let Tinley see some of the different musical songs that she maybe hasn't seen or heard of yet. So, yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah. Love it.
Good. Do you guys have any travel plans coming up?
Yeah, we're actually going to go to Spicewood tomorrow.
Spicewood
near Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, just sounds like more fun to say Spicewood, right? We found a really cool little Airbnb that we're just going to go stay at. And this is our first time to let each of the kids take a friend.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I thought my husband and I might like get to have a conversation if like they had their friends with them. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Just for the weekend, just for
just for a little quick something. We're going to maybe check out the Longhorn Cavern State Park.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
It looks like it might be really nice. Nice weather down there. And then we wanted to do something for spring break. It has to be this weekend because next weekend, Abilene Yarn Co. is participating with Grain Theory's big St. Patrick's Day street fair they're doing. We're going to do a free kids craft table, and we're going to make leprechaun lookers. It's like little
binoculars for finding leprechauns.
It's gonna be so daggum cute. Yeah. And then magic wands with yarn, rainbow yarn, and shamrocks, right? And then we're going to have some little crowns that the kids can make to wear. I was trying to think of things that they could wear and not have to hold as a mom, right? We don't want to like hold the stuff all night. So trying to think of some fun things that they can wear. And it's all free. Grain Theory helped sponsor the crafts, and then we're donating our time and labor to like manage it.
That's fun.
So yeah, it's gonna be really awesome. Ronnie Burke has done a great job.
And that's not this weekend, but next weekend.
The 15th. Yep. From 5 to 8 is the kids' free crafts, and then 5 to 10 is the event. So, and they're still looking for volunteers. If anybody wants to volunteer, you get like breakfast tacos, some free beer coupons, like all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, if anybody wants to volunteer, they should check that out.
Check it out.
Yeah.
And that's just right downtown, right across the street.
It's
Grain Theory
awesome.
here on the corner.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah, it looks really
Live
fun.
music and all of that
Lots
good
of cool stuff. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap it up, what else do you want to share with us that we need to know about Emily McMillan?
Okay, so come check us out. You don't have to buy anything. You can just come enjoy our beautiful space, right? We do knitting classes, crochet classes from ultimate beginners, all the way through advanced levels. We do also carry things, cross stitch, embroidery, not needlepoint yet, but I would like to get there. As we know, it's a very expensive and involved but amazing art. So that's definitely coming. That's one goal that I would like to aspire to at some point. But we do have some cross stitch and embroidery stuff. We have needle felting. We have tools and notions. We also have like gifty things, some pre-made like crochet things that I've just had sitting around. They're up for sale. We do still have the vintage clothes of Esther's Vintage Thrift and the glassware. And then let's see, cool workshops. What else do we have going on? We're gonna do on the 22nd a knitting needle bracelet workshop. So you take like the metal knitting needles, we cut off the ends, we'll hammer them flat into like I usually wear mine, but I didn't put it on today because it catches. But you hammer it flat, and then I've got the little metal stamps, like the ABC stamps, so you can make it say whatever. I have some at the shop now that say Abilene Yarn Co.
Oh, cool.
But you can make it say, Yarn Goddess, or I don't know, whatever you want it to say, your name or whatever, something cute. And then we have the bracelet benders to bend it into a bracelet. So it's an old upcycled, right, knitting needle that you can make into like a bracelet.
That's fun.
Yeah. So like I'm just trying to find some other fun things. Even if you don't knit or crochet, or you don't want to, or you have arthritis, there's other things for everybody.
There's something for you.
Yeah.
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 That's good.
Yeah.
And this has been fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've been in the tattoo chair, but just briefly.
Yeah, just for 1 hour.
Just for little ones. Just for little things.
We'll see if I can sit through a longer one next.
Maybe we'll get you there.
Yeah.
Well, I want to encourage our listeners, those that are watching, to come on down on Thursday mornings and sit in our audience. Get yourself a cup of coffee and enjoy this. We've got some really good guests lined up on the calendar, and go check out Abilene Yarn Co.
Yeah, AbileneYarn.com.
.com.
Or you can do AbileneYarnCo.com. I have both.
Okay.
That way you can't go wrong.
Yep.
So.
And then Thursday nights you guys have classes for sure.
Yep. Tuesday night crochet class, Thursday night knitting class.
Great.
Friday night open Stitch and Bitch session. Audra's working on getting a Stitch and Bitch group at the new beer garden.
Okay, cool.
Too. So we'll stay tuned for that info. Lots of places and times that you can come and just visit and hang out. We're open 11 to 8 Tuesday through Friday, and 10 to 8 on Saturdays right now. Those may not be the hours forever, but for right now, we've got some great hours.
Yeah.
So come hang out.
So if you're in Abilene or within 200 miles and you're looking for yarn, or you're looking for something to do, or you want to know where the cool kids are hanging out,
the cool kids, obviously.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Now you know.
Yes.
Now you're in the know.
Everyone's welcome.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for spending some time with me this morning
pleasure.
and sharing your journey and all this cool stuff that you're doing. And
thanks for asking good questions.
Bringing all the good colors.
Yes, that's right. All the colors, all the time.
Well, friends, thank you. We'll catch you next week on the Travi Wavi. And thanks for listening.
Woo.
Like and subscribe.